The stage lights were searing. The cameras were rolling. The air inside the studio buzzed with anticipation. But nobody, not even the seasoned crew, knew just how far things were about to spiral. Kelly Clarkson, sitting comfortably in her signature chair, greeted the audience with her trademark smile, polished, bright, and practiced. Beside her, across the cozy gap of the talk show set, Teddy Swims adjusted the mic clipped to his shirt, a hint of nervous energy in his hands. Betraying his calm exterior, the crowd had come expecting inspiration, music, and warm conversation. What they got instead would leave the daytime television world reeling. "Your rise has been like a fairy tale," Kelly began, her voice smooth with familiarity, delivering what should have been a soft opener. "From uploading bedroom covers to selling out arenas, it's incredible." She beamed, expecting a nod, maybe a humble chuckle, but Teddy didn't chuckle. He smiled. Yes, but there was a tension behind it, a flicker in his eyes. "Well, I appreciate that, Kelly," he said carefully, "but I wouldn't exactly call it a fairy tale. It's been years of grinding, a lot of doors slammed shut, a lot of people thinking I was a joke." Of course, Kelly nodded quickly, the host in her trained to agree, validate, pivot. "But that's what makes it so beautiful, right? All that rejection turned into recognition. Millions of views overnight. It must feel amazing to finally get what you deserve." The word finally hung in the air like a blade. Teddy's face didn't change dramatically, just enough to notice. He drew a quiet breath and leaned slightly forward. "I've been at this for more than 10 years. Kelly, this isn't some sudden discovery. This isn't about me finally getting what I deserve. It's always been about the music, whether 10 people were listening or 10 million. Kelly let out a light laugh, one that sounded a little too rehearsed. Totally. But you have to admit, social media changed the game for you. TikTok, Instagram, without those platforms, would we even know the name Teddy Swims? And there it was. The subtle dig masquerading as a compliment. Teddy's posture shifted. The polite interview smile began to slip, not entirely, but enough to signal that he was no longer in cruise control. "Are you suggesting that I owe everything to an algorithm?" he asked, his voice calm but edged. Kelly's eyes flickered to the cameras. No, not at all." She backtracked with a quick chuckle. "I just meant social media gave you a platform that maybe traditional routes didn't. I mean, let's be honest, the industry's not always kind to people who don't fit the mold." "What mold is that?" Teddy asked flatly. The weight in his tone was unmistakable. Low, heavy, dangerous. Kelly either didn't catch it or chose to push through it. "You know, the whole bearded, tattooed, soulful guy thing. It's very right now, feels super authentic, even if it's a little crafted for the internet." The words landed like a punch to the gut. Teddy sat in silence for a beat. The audience, once lively, was quiet now. Somewhere, behind the cameras, a producer stepped forward, instinctively sensing that something was shifting. "Crafted," Teddy repeated slowly. "You think I'm a marketing concept?" No, of course not," Kelly interrupted. "These tattoos aren't a costume. This beard isn't for branding," he continued. "This is me. This is who I've been when nobody was watching, when nobody cared, when I was driving from town to town in a beat-up van playing for 15 people who didn't know my name." Kelly forced another smile, one that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Right, and that's what makes it so relatable. But it's undeniable that once your clips started going viral, the industry took notice." "My clips," Teddy said, his voice growing colder. "You're reducing my music to clips now." Kelly glanced off camera again, as if silently pleading for a producer to signal a change in direction, but the damage was already rolling forward like a freight train. "I think the audience would love to hear about how you managed to stay grounded through this sudden fame," she offered, steering toward what she assumed would be safer waters. "Sudden fame," Teddy repeated, incredulous. "You keep saying things like that overnight. Fairy tale. Sudden. You think I just popped into existence one day with a decent voice and a Wi-Fi connection?" "I didn't mean it that way," Kelly said softly. "No, but that's how it sounds," Teddy replied. "It sounds like you think this was handed to me by hashtags and trending sounds. Like I didn't spend years getting told I was too R&B for country. Too country for R&B. Too fat. Too bearded. Too different. Like I haven't had to prove myself in every damn room I walk into." Kelly shifted in her seat, visibly uneasy now. "Let's talk about your new album then," she offered. "It's got this really polished sound, totally different from your early stuff. That must be amazing, working with a real team of professionals." It was the final misstep. Teddy's jaw tightened. The temperature in the studio dropped noticeably. "A real team of professionals," he said slowly. "As opposed to what? The people I made music with before, the amateurs." Kelly's mouth opened, but she had no immediate reply. "I just meant that the production quality is different. With access to studios, engineers, it's a natural evolution." "A natural evolution," Ted repeated. "And in that evolution, you think I finally became legitimate?" "Of course not," Kelly replied, her voice just a little too high. All I'm saying is, with the right help, artists can really reach their full potential. Teddy leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on her. Help, he said. Let me ask you something, Kelly. When you won American Idol, did people tell you that Simon Cowell and the production team helped you reach your full potential? Or did they recognize you were already talented? Kelly blinked. That's different, is it? Teddy challenged. Because what I did wasn't a TV show. It wasn't backed by networks or judged by celebrity panels. I had no machine behind me, just a mic, a voice, and a stubborn refusal to quit. Trying to reclaim control, Kelly softened her tone. I think there's been a misunderstanding here. Teddy, I respect your journey. I do. No, Teddy replied. I think you came in here with a very specific narrative. The TikTok artist makes a big story. But that's not who I am. That's just the version of me that's easiest to sell. Kelly's smile was gone now. Her eyes darted to her producers again, seeking backup. There was none. I brought you here to celebrate your story, she said firmly. No, Teddy said, sitting upright. You brought me here to fit into your idea of a story. You didn't ask about the music that pulled me out of depression. The songs I wrote when I thought nobody was listening. The fans who showed up when I had nothing to offer but a voice and a folding chair. You've spent this entire interview trying to tell me what my journey is. Kelly's lips thinned. I think you're being incredibly sensitive, and I think you're being incredibly dismissive. Teddy shot back. You think just because I didn't go through the same doors you did, that I somehow cheated the system, that my authenticity is suspect, that my success must have come with a catch. The audience was silent now, some glancing nervously at each other. Phones were out. Cameras kept rolling. You think I'm not ready for this level of attention? Teddy said, his voice sharper now. I've been building this brick by brick while you were in makeup chairs and PR meetings. Don't confuse silence with inexperience. Kelly's tone hardened. Artists at this level need to be able to handle hard questions, Teddy, and I'm happy to handle hard questions, he replied. But what you've been doing isn't questioning, it's rewriting. The moment was unraveling fast. And Kelly, for the first time in her daytime hosting career, looked genuinely unsure of how to recover. You're twisting everything, she whispered. No, Teddy said, rising from his seat. I'm untwisting it. Teddy stood there, casting a long shadow across the interview set. His expression unreadable but his message clear. The crowd, once expectant and energized, was stunned into motionless silence. Kelly Clarkson remained seated, back straight, trying to steady the crumbling structure of what was supposed to be a heartwarming conversation. But every passing second drove home the same truth. This wasn't a conversation anymore. This was an unraveling. I'm trying to give our viewers insight into your story, Kelly insisted, her voice carrying a defensive edge, now teetering between frustration and desperation. Sometimes that means asking uncomfortable questions. No, Kelly, Teddy said, arms crossed now, his eyes cold and focused. It means listening before assuming. It means respecting a journey you didn't take instead of dissecting it. Like a science project, Kelly clenched her jaw, then exhaled slowly. You're not being fair. And you're not being honest, Teddy replied. You think this is me overreacting, right? That I'm being sensitive. But every question you've asked, everyone has tried to take ownership of my story and shrink it into something you can digest, something your viewers can consume with their coffee. Kelly snapped. You think I don't understand what it's like to be dismissed? I built my career from nothing. No, you built it with network support and nationwide exposure, Teddy said calmly. You had validation from the start. You had judges praising you and a machine ready to back you. And good for you, that's not a dig. But don't sit there and pretend it's the same thing. Kelly's voice cracked slightly as she leaned forward. Teddy, I know what it's like to feel like you don't belong. Teddy's voice didn't rise. If anything, it dropped an octave. Quiet, but deadly. The difference is, you eventually did belong. You were allowed to. I've had to claw my way into rooms that were never built for people like me, and when I finally get in, people like you ask if I'm just a product of social media. Kelly stiffened. Now you're just being cruel. No, he said. Now I'm just being honest. For a moment, nothing happened. The entire room, camera operators, band members, audience held their breath. Kelly opened her mouth, closed it again, then stood slowly. You're making this personal when it didn't need to be. It's always personal when someone tries to rewrite your truth, Teddy replied. You want to reduce my journey to a quirky digital success story with a beard and some tattoos. You want the digestible version of me, but I'm not here to make you or anyone else comfortable. Kelly's frustration boiled over. I've always celebrated authenticity. No, Teddy cut in. You've celebrated marketable authenticity. There's a difference. The silence that followed was louder than any outburst. You know what, Teddy? Kelly finally said, her voice trembling with anger. Maybe this attitude is why it took you so long to get noticed. Maybe this chip on your shoulder is what kept you out of those rooms. The line hung there, heavy and dangerous. A few gasps rippled through the audience. Kelly looked instantly regretful, but it was too late. Teddy's stare hardened, and there it is. Don't, Kelly whispered. No, he continued, stepping forward. There's the real reason I'm sitting in this chair. You brought me here for clout, not for connection. You saw numbers, not a person. You don't celebrate the journey, you monetize it. Teddy, let me finish, he said, because after today, I'm not coming back. Not here, not anywhere. I'm invited just to be dissected and diluted. Kelly crossed her arms tightly across her chest. If that's how you really feel, then maybe you should leave. Teddy didn't flinch. Maybe I should. The words weren't shouted. They didn't need to be. He began unhooking his mic again, each movement deliberate, controlled. The kind of control that only comes from years of swallowing anger until it learns to live beneath your skin. You don't get it. Kelly, he said as he stood fully upright again. When someone like me walks into a space like this, we're already fighting to be taken seriously. Before a word leaves our mouth, before a note leaves our throat. You don't need to say we don't belong, we can feel it in every sideways glance, in every loaded question, in every assumption. Kelly blinked hard, as if trying to hold back something, frustration, maybe even shame. I never said you didn't belong. You didn't have to, Teddy said. It was in everything. You implied. Kelly's face turned toward her producers, but none of them dared intervene. There was no saving this segment now. No clean edit that could turn it into daytime fluff. It had bled too far into the raw. You brought me here to make your audience feel good, Teddy continued. A neat little redemption arc. A TikTok star with soul. But I'm not here to play the part. I'm here to sing the truth, whether you like it or not. He placed the mic gently on the table beside him, as if it were fragile. You don't have to believe in me, Kelly, but you will respect me. The crowd was too stunned to react. Even those who still had their phones raised seemed paralyzed, unsure if they were recording history or heartbreak. Kelly swallowed hard. This isn't how I wanted this to go, but it's exactly how it needed to go, Teddy replied. For every artist who sits in that chair and smiles through the disrespect, I won't. He took a step away, then paused. And for the record, he said, turning back just once, my fans didn't find me through a brand. They found me through a voice that didn't need your permission. With that, he walked off the set. Kelly remained standing in silence, her arms limp by her sides, her expression frozen between disbelief and devastation. Around her, the show's crew scrambled for a plan. Producers whispering, directors waving, someone frantically calling for a commercial break. But it was all too late. The show would never recover this moment. Not in the edit room. Not in a PR statement. Not even in apology tours or awkward clarifications. Because this was real. And for the first time in her long career as a pop idol turned TV host, Kelly Clarkson had nothing left to say. The audience, unsure how to react, began to stir. A few clapped awkwardly. Others simply watched the exit where Teddy had disappeared. Some with admiration, some with discomfort. The cameras were still rolling, catching every flicker of Kelly's internal war as she tried, and failed, to find the words to salvage the moment. Later, the clip would go viral. Headlines would dissect every second of the exchange. Think pieces would ask whether Kelly had overstepped, whether Teddy had overreacted, whether daytime television had become a battlefield. But in that studio, in those raw seconds, all the noise of the outside world faded into the hush of a room where truth had just landed like a meteor dot, and in its crater, two careers stood forever changed.